Hello and welcome back to What Now? For today's episode, I have another amazing guest, Jazzy.
Hi.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jazzy. I'm a senior in college. I'm from LA. I am an architectural studies and child development major.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So for today's episode, Jazzy and I wanted to talk about moving to a new city for college. She moved from LA to Boston. I didn't move as far. I moved from Jersey, but it still counts. So
Still counts.
it still counts. So I learned that 1 in 5 undergraduate students move out of state for college. So
Oh,
it's
interesting.
not that many.
Yeah, it does seem a little low.
A little lower than I thought.
But I guess also big public universities, you'd think.
Yeah. So still
Maybe that evens
prevalent.
it out.
Still prevalent.
Yeah.
Prevalent enough.
Yeah.
So to break down today's episode, we're going to talk about 4 different things. So the first one is cultural differences in moving to a new city. The second one is mastering the art of solo exploration. The third one is how to navigate new city fatigue. And then the last one is how to maintain your spark. And we'll talk about what that means. And then to finish the episode, we're going to go over advice that you guys submitted on Instagram and talk about it. So, Jazzy, can you tell me about what you thought was the most different moving from the West Coast to the East Coast?
Yes. I think there's the obvious differences of LA, I was driving everywhere. Here, I was taking public transportation.
Yeah.
And then also walking a lot more because in LA, anything more than a 5-minute walk is crazy. You know?
Yeah.
And then here I'll be like, oh, it's just a 45-minute walk. And I feel like it actually helped me learn the city a lot better.
Okay.
Because I had to remember more of where I was going.
Mhm.
Whereas when I'm driving, I'm kind of just looking at the GPS
Yeah.
and mindlessly driving,
Yeah.
you know? Besides that, Boston fans are angry. They're really angry, guys. I was
They're pretty aggressive.
So my freshman year, my parents and I went to a Red Sox game.
Mhm.
And right off the bat, before we even entered, there were these people selling shirts that were LeBron sucks. And then in the game, someone a few rows up from us threw their drink. And luckily it didn't hit us because we would have been pissed, but also terrified for our lives. But they threw a drink and it's not even anything controversial happened.
I'm scared.
That was my impression of Boston when I first came.
Tough.
Yeah, I'm not wearing that Lakers shirt.
So, obviously, I've never been to LA, though I really want to go.
Girl, she'd eat that up.
I really would. I love celebrities. They're really cool. How did you navigate moments where it was challenging because there were so many cultural differences? Did you ever have moments like that?
Yeah, I think the city itself, I don't think was hard to adjust to because Boston is very cozy and I feel safe here. But the weather,
Ooh.
that was a big thing for me. Yeah, sun really affects me. And so not having sunny days all the time was a little tough. But besides that, I think Boston was very easy to adjust to just because I felt like I was able to explore it very easily.
Yeah. Okay, wait. One thing I want to ask you,
Yeah.
because people obviously there are stereotypes around America of how certain people act. And I know when I came to college, I was meeting people from all over. And they were and I was like, is it true that there's such a big difference between West Coast, East Coast, or is that fake? Did you find that people here behave different in any way?
Yes. I mean, I don't know if it's because of college campuses, because Boston is such a big school environment, you know? But here I felt people were more tunnel vision.
Okay.
They were in their own zone, earbuds on, whether you're on campus or not, and you're just going to your place. You are dead straight, you know where you're going. I feel there's a lot more wandering in LA kind of. And a little more nonchalant attitude. I didn't really notice that until I came here and then I went back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were very chill. And a lot of our
lot of
friends
people
are
tell me
like,
chill.
Jazzy is like the chillest
Yeah.
person. And I'm like, she's from LA.
I think chill is the like most used adjective to
really
describe
are.
me. Oh yeah, besides the tunnel vision part, I think that's also just like faster pace. Like, like people have things to do and like limited amount of time.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, well people here make fun of the way I pronounce words. Gabby.
By people, she means me.
And all of my New Jersey
wait,
friends.
can I tell them? Can
Oh
I tell
my
them?
God.
Okay, let me tell them.
The slander.
She doesn't say button. She says button. And it's just really funny
There are
because
2 T's.
you know you don't pronounce both T's. She'll be like,
You don't even pronounce one T.
she's like, I need to button my shirt. And I'm like, you need to button your shirt. We're going to move on to the next topic, which is mastering the art of solo exploration. So I literally just told Jazzy that I admire how confident she is to just go into the city alone and explore for herself. I literally need to do that more. But you were saying earlier how like food is a really big way that you explore the city. So are there other ways that you've learned to be able to navigate walking around the city and making it feel like a place that you know better?
Yeah, I mean, for starters, I think I am like very curious to know the city more just because like when you move to a city, it's very different than when you've lived there your whole life. So like when people started asking me about like LA when they found out I was from LA, they'd be like, "Oh, have you done this? Have you done that?" And like I haven't really done the things that like people would assume that I've done because like that's just where I've been raised my whole life, So when I moved here, I wanted to get to know it pretty well. And like I think the way that I do that is I did all the touristy things with my parents. And so like that was fun and I feel like that gave me a general sense of what like Boston is like. But then finding like the hidden gems would be I don't know. Honestly, I'm trying to think beyond food because like really like the places that I know that are like not like right in downtown are like because I'm like, "Oh, I heard this breakfast burrito is good."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Oh,
you do
Mine
that.
and Hattie's, if
Yeah,
anyone."
no, because she'll tell us. I'm like, oh, like what are your plans this weekend? She's like, oh, like I just heard of like this new bagel place, and then like you end up having like such a pretty day because
Yes.
you went for that, but then you like explored the area.
Exactly. So I'll go to like I'll find a restaurant and then I'll go to that area for the restaurant. And then if it's like in a cute little town, I'll just walk around and wander. The other places that like kind of catch my attention are like thrift stores, stationery stores. I eat that up.
Really nice.
I eat that up.
Shout out Muji.
Muji. Sometimes they're just like these little like trinket stores, where like I love like hole in the walls, like one of a kind things.
I wanted to know if you have a routine when you decide that you're going to like go out in the city one day or like you want to explore somewhere new.
I have like a vague routine usually. Like especially if it's on the weekend and I have the whole day, I'll be like, this is where I'll get my food. And then if I'm feeling studious, I'll go find a place to work and work a little bit and then like I'll use those places as base points of where I'll wander. Sometimes though, I'll also like go on walks and then like I don't like picking a place when I go on a walk, so then I kind of just like continue walking and I'll just like see where it takes me. And like I've found so many places near us that I would have never known if I like hadn't gone on walks. I also just like tend to follow pretty nature. Like this fall particular, this past fall, I don't know like what the trees were on, but they were thriving. Yeah. And I kind of just like I remember one time I told myself I was gonna go on a run. We didn't run.
Yeah, she does sometimes.
Not this time. We did not run. I was gonna go on a run, and then mid-run, probably like 1 minute in, honestly, I saw this pretty tree, and I was like, oh my God. So then I went to follow the tree, and then I was like in this like woodsy area, and I was like, there's another one. And I was literally
I mean, this doesn't surprise me. You made me chase a sunset when I was driving you. It was very pretty. I have never seen Jazzy more intense in my life. She was like, I don't care where we go. Just go chase the sun.
We were actually like literally chasing the sun.
Like literally. I was like driving on random roads.
Yeah. Then we parked and then we talk about running. We actually ran for
We
this
did.
one.
We ran up a hill.
Ran up the hill, around the hill, and then we found the most perfect spot.
It was
And
stunning.
you can't tell me it wasn't worth it.
I told you it was my phone background for quite a bit. It was
Oh my
really pretty.
God.
So
It's
yeah,
gorgeous.
follow pretty things. Follow pretty things.
Yeah, so that's when it's a little more spontaneous, when I'm
Yeah.
just like following some trees. But
But like
but like generally vague plan, but I don't like to plan too much because I
Yeah.
think if I knew where I was going,
Yeah.
that's like then you
It's
don't
less fun?
Yeah, you're not seeing the hidden gems.
and you do like your hidden gems.
I do like my hidden gems.
I'm curious how you are able to have so much confidence being able to do things independently. Because I know that can be really intimidating for people.
Yeah, it took some time for sure because like I moved across the country to become more independent.
Yeah.
So like already coming, like I knew I hadn't done a lot of things on my own. Like I didn't even like eating alone before college.
Yeah.
Like I was like, you want me to go in a public place and sit by
And eat alone?
myself?
I still need to do that.
I'm like,
I don't do that.
I'm like, no. Like because I didn't know the difference between being alone and being lonely. And so I thought
Mm.
anytime I was alone, I was perceived as lonely. And
That's not true.
it's not true. And like, first of all, you don't need to care what people think. Second of all,
Preach.
thank you. Second of all, like being alone and being lonely are two completely different feelings. And like, I think once I like learned how to be okay being by myself, it was a big game changer.
Mhm.
But I think like the confidence kind of came from like I would go out in the city with friends. So
Yeah.
like I didn't like right off the bat be like, bye guys, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah.
But the big like game changer was when I took my flight home for Thanksgiving break
Mhm.
freshman year, because that was the first time I had ever flown by myself. And like that was a huge thing for me. Like it doesn't sound, I don't think it sounds big, but like
That's a 7-hour flight, girl.
yeah.
Before, when we were talking, you mentioned that you're very extroverted. And so doing things independently for you was something that like you didn't really consider before because you were so used to doing things with your friends. And that's something that I really understand and that I'm still working on because I get so much energy from my friends. Like that's just who I am. So like what advice would you give to people like me and like others who are like super extroverted that aren't really used to doing things on their own, but should learn to because it's important?
You kind of just have to rip off the band-aid.
Yeah.
And like for me, the way that I knew I could rip off the band-aid was moving across the country and like not having my family
Yeah.
and like my brother and my like friends from high school like right there, you know? For me at least, I know that like every week there has to be a day that is just for me. Like as extroverted as I am, like I just like need a day to like whether that's like prepare for the week mentally or like just if my social battery is just, you know, like
Yeah.
I don't have that much energy for every day of the week to be filled with social plans. During that time is like if you're the same way of like needing a day to yourself is
Mhm.
kind of like use that day to kind of like maybe explore and like go out. And like a big thing for me is like I'm trying to like take those into like the independent self like or the self exploration days and like I a lot of time tune out the noise. Like I have headphones on a lot of time. I think
Yeah.
like I've kind of just adjusted to that culture, and also I love music.
We love music.
We love
Maybe we'll
music.
give them some song recs.
Oh my
after.
god, we should.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
just like be able to walk around and sit only with my own thoughts and my own
That's
observations.
scary for some people.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
not like just listen to the noise of like the train station
Yeah.
or listen to the noise of like when you walk into a restaurant, you
Yeah.
know?
But it's such
Um,
a small thing that is such an impactful little detail because it keeps you so grounded and present. And I
Yeah.
don't even recognize that. Because I feel like sometimes, like when I'm stressed, like obviously I'll play music, but in a weird way, not listening to anything and just like focusing on your surroundings makes you feel calmer. I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like you're more familiar of like what's going around you when
Yeah.
you're like fully immersed
Yeah.
in that. And I mean, for me, I think the reason like I just don't like tend to do that is because I don't know, like I feel like there's this idea that we have short attention spans and
We do actually.
I mean
Fun fact,
yeah
we
I
have
don't
shorter attention spans than goldfish. That was my fun fact of the day app.
Of course it was. Wait, I feel like you said that like 20 minutes earlier.
Did I?
Yeah, probably.
Short attention, short attention span.
Your short attention. I don't want to actually. I'm not going to generalize for everyone. I have a relatively
I do
short,
too.
short attention span, so like music kind of keeps me entertained.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, it is kind of scary sometimes when you're walking around with your own thoughts, like. And sometimes that's just too much, you know? And
it's okay
you
for it
want
to
to
be
like
too
tune
much
out.
and you
Yeah.
wanna tune it out.
Yeah, and you want
Yeah.
to tune it out. But yeah, my advice, rip off the Band-Aid
Mhm.
and
Go for it.
yeah.
No, I like it. So for our next topic, we are going to talk about how to deal with new city fatigue. And what I mean by this is how to learn to balance between exploring the new place that you're living at for college while also learning how to do college. So, can you tell me about, I guess, like how you managed that when you were a underclassman?
Okay. I remember my freshman fall was honestly, like academic wise, so chill.
Mhm.
Like, I was almost confused why we had to work so hard in high school. To be fair, one of my classes was yoga, and like math of social choice,
Which I took last semester as a senior.
That was the route I was headed. So I was taking like a couple other intro classes, but besides that, my academic workload wasn't crazy.
Okay.
But I was still in like high school studying mode. Whereas in college, I think it's always consuming, but there's eventually, actually, kind of what Natasha was
No,
saying,
yeah.
like, there's like you can't do it all,
You
and like
can't,
you
yeah.
can't. And so like, I guess the way that I found the balance was that I don't know if I figured this out freshman year, but like now I have the mindset of like I need to go into the city at least once a week. Kind of like what you were saying before, like putting myself in different environments is
Yeah.
really important to me because like I think my mind gets stuck when I'm in the same place all the time. And also I have this thing where like I just don't believe work gets done on Saturdays. Like even if I have the time, it's not a matter of like if I have the time. It's
Yeah.
like do I like will I mentally be able to do it? And like a lot of times like Friday night and Saturday, whether you're busy or not, work does not get done.
Unless it really has to.
Just don't put yourself in that position. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I don't recommend it
Don't put
either.
yourself-
Yeah.
So my rule is at least explore once a week.
I like that. I get not being able to like do your work on a Saturday in the sense that like mentally I feel like I had so much going on during the week. I don't have the brain energy to do anything.
Exactly.
Which is why you need that exploring day. Or well, for me it's like talking to Jazzy or something.
No, because also like I think I learned this the hard way freshman year is that like spring semester freshman
Mhm.
year was like a completely different game. Like I had so much work and like I was someone who like used to do all the readings and like couldn't really like
Miss a sentence.
yeah, like
Oh yeah.
I like had to do all the readings and I was someone who like put academics before social things. And like what I realized is that honestly I'm not even productive like when I'm doing academic things if I haven't taken time to step back.
No,
Like,
it's so
like
true.
you have to take a step back
Yeah.
because like even if you like force yourself to be at your desk and sit there and
It's
do
not
the
gonna
work,
get-
it's not gonna get
No.
done if like you've been sitting there the whole time. You know,
Yeah.
like breaks so important.
I 1,000 bazillion trillion % agree. I literally, yeah, damn. No, because I feel like as I've gotten older, I'm still young, but like I have a better understanding of my work capacity of like, like I can like plan ahead and I'm like, I already know I'm not going to be able to get this done
Yeah.
then, or like I know I'm not going to be able to do this done.
Exactly.
So you just get better and better at that. Did you have any moments when you got to Boston where you wanted to move back home or like where you were missing home?
Like my whole freshman year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually remember the first 2 weeks of like college so vividly because I would walk around and I would be like, oh my God, like, did I make the biggest mistake ever? Because I was just like, like it was just so foreign. And I think there's this like idea, like everyone will tell you like, oh my gosh, we're so excited for you to go to college, it's gonna be the best time of your life. When people
No.
tell you something's gonna be the best time of your life, just tune it out.
Mhm.
Like be excited. I think it's really important to be excited, and I'm actually working on that because sometimes I'd hold back my excitement to prevent disappointment. um
Deep.
yeah, sorry.
Damn.
Yeah, so I think it was really hard because I had this expectation that it was gonna be the best time of my life, and it it wasn't that immediately. Like looking back now, I'm like, it's been a pretty awesome 4 years,
Yeah.
and there's literally no other time in your life that's gonna be like this. Like
Nope.
college is a very specific
Mhm.
time, and I've loved it, but it took time to love it, and
Mhm.
like I had to grow into that.
Another question is, what is one habit you did to help you feel settled when everything was starting to feel overwhelming?
My freshman year of spring, I
Mhm.
had a moment where like I had been more overwhelmed than I had ever been in my life.
Mhm.
I like was like, okay, I need to learn how to deal with this because it's not like college gets easier.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think it's changed. Like I think freshman year it was really important for me to stay connected with my family. And so like those weekly calls with them, like I did not miss like
Mhm.
that those were like those kept me grounded for
Mhm.
sure. Sophomore year as I like slowly began to like find more of my place, I met Gabby. That was a big year. That was a big
That
year.
was a big
Honestly,
year.
we talk about it all the time. We're like, can't believe we had like a time in college where we didn't know each
Yeah,
other.
we forget
Yeah,
about that.
we're like, oh yeah, you were like existing and doing your own thing before me.
Yeah. Also, I did this with Natasha. Why don't we share how we met?
Oh my god, yes. Oh, we
This is
remember.
kind of so random.
Tell it.
Okay, Jazzy and I were taking a PR and marketing class together, and we literally like were not sitting together in the auditorium. The class was 3 hours long, so we got like a 15-20 minute break. So I go outside to go to the bathroom, and there's a long line, and Jazzy's right next to me in line.
Also, like for context, I never use the bathroom during breaks. Like that was the only time probably in my life that I actually got up during a break and like
Yeah.
used the restroom.
Which is crazy because I'm a yapper. And
She is.
I turned around and I was like, ah, man, long line. And then we talked for a little bit. And then we went back into the classroom, and our professor was like, oh, guys, I want you guys to form your own groups for the semester project. Jazzy and I did not know anyone in that
Yeah,
class.
and we're like, how are we
We're
supposed
like, how are
to
we supposed to
form
like,
groups?
we were freshies, no, sophomores,
Yeah.
sorry.
We're just like, we were the ones like sitting alone. There was like a seat empty next to us on both sides. Like,
Yeah.
and then Gabby's, she's a front row girly, or more towards the front. I'm a back row.
Now I'm back row. I used to be like that, okay?
Anyway, she asked us like, okay, do you guys have your groups? And we're
And I just look at Jazzy and I was like,
the eye contact,
yeah,
and she's
and I was
like,
like, and the rest is history.
ah,
Ah,
iconic.
see, what would have happened if I didn't have a chatty mouth and
Yeah.
asked her, man, bathrooms, right?
Yeah, my advice: always use the bathroom.
So sophomore year.
Yeah, so sophomore year, I realized that even if I had an infinite amount of time, my work won't get done if I'm not having some kind of exciting social
Yeah.
life. Junior year, I was abroad, so you know.
Yeah. Exploring a
It
very
was,
nice place.
yeah. It was amazing. Everything about it. And senior year, I think it's just all about soaking it all in. And so like I've had this whole mentality this whole time of
Yeah.
like I am it sounds so cheesy, but it's so true. I'm very lucky, and like honestly, it's just crazy that it's almost over.
One last question. What was the moment you felt that you could finally start calling Boston home?
I think it's junior year when I had moved off campus
Mhm.
and like I was in my own space for the first time, and then
Mhm.
also feeling like I liked where I was and like I felt like I had a place. That's when I actually said like home as in like my house here.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was I was like,
You're like, I'm gonna go back home. I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
was like,
what?
wait, what's happening? I was like, what just happened? And I think that also like part of like feeling at home is like knowing the place.
Yeah,
And so
totally.
like I feel a lot of familiarity with Boston and with campus. And I think that's a huge thing for me. Just
Mhm.
like in actually so many aspects of my life. Like the feeling of comfort is something that I like hold on to
Yep.
tight because when you're comfortable, I feel like other things will fall into place.
Yep. Totally.
Um,
And it comes with time.
yeah. But like not to say that like being uncomfortable is a bad thing because I think that's really important.
We all have to learn how to be uncomfortable. How to
Yes.
be okay being uncomfortable.
Exactly.
That's like the first half of college.
Yeah. But then when you reach that comfort after being uncomfortable for so long,
It's
it's
so much nicer.
oh my god.
You have new issues.
Yeah.
But it's like
I'm
so
like,
much better.
yeah. So I think that moment when I like junior year when I
Yeah.
called my house home, I was like,
That was it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our last topic, we're going to talk about maintaining your spark, which we're excited about. So, we need to give context because I didn't know what the spark was until I literally became friends with Jazzy and she was like, "Ugh, guys, I've lost the spark. Guys, my spark is back." And I'm like, "Huh?"
It's really hot and cold.
Yeah. So, why don't you explain to everyone what it means?
Okay. Honestly, no one has ever asked me this, so let me do my best. If I'm like really thinking about it, I feel like some of it has to do with Marie Kondo's. Do you know Marie Kondo?
I've heard of her.
She has this whole thing about like she'll tell you how to like tidy up spaces. Like she has a book and then she had like a show about it. Yeah, and it was like if this doesn't spark joy, get rid of it. That was her whole thing.
Okay.
I feel like that has to be part of the foundation of wherever this came from.
Okay.
But the spark thing also wasn't a thing for me until college.
Okay.
Because I think the things I was doing in high school, like it just felt so like go, go, go that like I never really sat down and thought about it. But then like being here, having some more time, like literally by myself, I thought about it more. And like I am very much someone who enjoys being artistic, whether that's like through drawing and
She's very talented.
she's being nice.
No.
I used to bullet journal in high school. I started doing like calligraphy and then now like watercoloring. And so like,
Tell them.
oh my gosh, a little self promo.
Yeah, tell them.
I am raising money for LA Fire Relief. And so I started a little business. So I'm selling original watercolors. It's called Imprinted by LA. You should totally follow it on Instagram. And you can get watercolor cards or even a custom watercolor, but it's all going to a nonprofit called Letters Charity and their wildfire relief fund. So
You guys
check
should
it out. If
seriously
you have
check it
time.
out. She did a watercolor of my house, and my family literally loves it. We want another one. Anyways,
Art for me is a really big outlet. And like whenever I feel like I'm creative, like that is my best self.
Okay.
But there are a lot of times that I like sometimes get into ruts or like dead ends, mental blocks, all those things. And I think I felt it a lot like through architecture. And then also I like when I was in Copenhagen, I feel like I found that like artistic self in me again. I think I had lost it for a sec just with the time of like adjusting and like getting used to college in general and like academic workload. I think the idea was like more solidified from Copenhagen because there I was like it was so
she came back and she was like, she wasn't a new person. She was just reborn. Do you have like a routine when you are like, "Ugh, I've lost my spark"? What's like the first thing that you do?
I don't have a routine
Okay.
because there are different reasons why I lose it. Like I don't think it's sometimes it'll be out of frustration, sometimes it'll be out of lack of ideas. But I know like anytime that happens, my first thing is like I get paralyzed. Like I don't know what to do and like kind of down in the dumps for a sec.
Okay.
Because I'm a big believer that like you have to have that moment of like down to go back up in like all aspects of my life. Like I'll always tell Gabby, I'm like, if you feel sad, be sad. Like don't fight it.
Yes.
Like I tell her to
She
embrace
tells me to
it.
listen to sad
Yeah,
music. Like,
I'm like,
my
sad
sad
music is
playlist
honestly
is
something.
thanks to her. And I changed my life.
Yeah. If like if you feel sad, be sad. If you need to wallow, wallow. Once I sit in it and feel it, I figure out why it's happening. It could honestly sometimes it's weather too.
And we're back to the weather. So just
All roads lead back to weather here. Yeah, and so in those cases, like sometimes it's uncontrollable, and so I have to find moments of inspo. That's what it is. I find moments of inspo, and a lot of the time it's like when I see other people doing things they love, like that's huge. Honestly, Gabby is the reason that I was able to do my watercolor thing because she was working on her podcast. I need to tell them. She was working on her podcast and like this light went off and like I was like, "Oh my god, like she's doing it." And then her energy is like transferred into me. And like that's a huge thing for me, like surrounding myself with people who like have that same
yeah.
drive because I'm like, oh my god, like it is so cool watching people do the things they love.
Oh
Like
my God, yeah.
even if you don't love the same thing, when you
Yeah.
see someone's light bulb like turn on, you're like, oh my god.
When I see her post about your recent watercolors of like friends and I was like it, I'm like, whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah, so like that is one way I get out of it. Um I think another way is like sitting in it but in an active way. So like sometimes even like walking it off. Like not that it'll go
Walk it out.
yeah, not that it'll happen in one walk, but like again, a change in environment. That's I think that's the biggest thing. Like there's got to be some change that happens. Whether it's a change in energy, a change in environment, a change in like routine.
That's a
Like
good point.
yeah, because I think routine is good in stability, but like when the stability is no longer providing inspiration, that's when you got to change it.
You need to have it be adaptable.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. I think those are the three main things actually.
One last question within this topic is what would you recommend to somebody who needs to reignite their spark?
I think first off, know that it's not permanent. Anytime that I've felt stuck, the idea of permanence always holds me back because I'm just like, if I think this is a forever state, that is the
That's
most
sad.
paralyzing thing
Oh, yeah,
ever. That is the most
absolutely.
paralyzing thing ever. And then I suggest evaluating what is going right and what is going wrong. People, places. You also have to think about like, where do you want to be? Because like for me, I have this idea that like when I have that spark, I am my best self. But sometimes people also need like I just need to be like getting through it. And that's okay. If that's all you need, then like don't push yourself, you know?
No, but I think it's the little things that you do because I
Yeah.
see you every time you tell me like I'm not feeling good, right? You literally tell me verbatim like, "Oh, I did this today. I did this today. I did this today." And like I see you little by little starting to feel better until all of a sudden she's like, "Guys, I'm back."
Yeah. I'm like
yeah, guys.
I actually feel like I'm like
Yeah.
like what you said
Reborn.
Like,
A reborn, I'm telling you.
I just like
Ah. Really agree to the point before when you were talking about like having to figure out what steps you need to take based on how you're feeling. Like when I'm like going through like a rough week, it's like I have to take things day by day. If it's worse, I have to take things hour by hour, you know? So it's being able to like slowly pick yourself back up, but being patient about it. So, for the last part of today's episode, I asked you guys on Instagram, what advice do you have about getting adjusted to a new city? I'm just going to read some of these and then we'll just like see if we agree to talk about it.
I'm excited. I haven't seen any of them.
The first one, bring things from home in your new apartment. Decorate it so it feels homey.
Totally agree. The way that I would do that is like photos. Big photo girl.
She's a big photo
I'm
girl.
a big photo girl.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that's what helped me feel at home.
Nice. Next one. Continuing to do hobbies I love makes me feel at home.
Yes. I think that's important because if you think about it, times I felt lost, times I went under my hobbies.
Here's another one. Driving in circles until I know where everything is. I'll speak to this one because she doesn't have a car. When I got my car and we were driving off campus, I feel like we were getting more familiar with everything.
Yes, but I think walking helps me get more familiar than driving. That's what I like in LA.
Yeah.
You drive, and I feel like my sense of direction in LA is way worse than here.
My sense of direction is always bad. Okay, another one. Finding that one spot where you can be alone with your thoughts. Wow, they like knew what you were going to talk about. Wow. Like, crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be multiple spots, but I think if you have one spot and you know it, like that's honestly, that's pretty good because then you just keep going back there.
Okay, next one. This is a longer one. This listener said, often we feel settled through our relationships, not just place. At least that's how it was for me. Connecting with classmates, roommates, or even a mentor can make a new city feel like home faster than anything else.
Yeah.
That was very well said.
No, I totally agree. People make the place at the end of the day.
Yeah. You'll find your people over time. But yeah. And you'll find yourself. Deep.
She just said deep to herself.
Damn. Got myself in the bag. Okay. Next one. Taking workout classes or joining a girl group.
Yes, I just said this off camera. I was like, I forgot to say that working out helps me so much too.
But also like joining a girl group or taking workout classes, like having a group that you can see routinely. Because like, yeah, I like exercising too, but if I'm doing it with people, it makes it so much more fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And that's like, that was a big thing I had to adjust to in college because I wasn't on a team anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was so weird because like I basically had a built-in community.
Yeah.
And then like having to find the community was
It's
like
tricky. But once you find it, it's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next one. Walking around the area and finding little places that you enjoy. Damn, you guys just like know Jazzy. She said this.
Well said.
Here's another one.
Okay.
Finding your local TJ's, Trader Joe's, and your local coffee shop of choice.
Love Trader Joe's. Honestly, nothing can go wrong when you're in a Trader Joe's.
Unless you don't have a grocery list.
Okay. You know what? I went to the grocery store with her one time. No, I went to Trader Joe's with her one time, didn't have a list, and like she'll never forget. We were it wasn't even that long. We just like may have gone a little more than I probably would have gone if I had a list.
Okay, and so the last piece of advice is if you're ever stuck on finding places to go, literally just like go on Instagram and TikTok and search up like fun places to look around, and they might be popular, but sometimes you find like hidden places.
Yeah, honestly, I do find a lot of places from like Reels and TikTok.
They'll get like popular, but like sometimes I like have found things that like nobody else. And then you save it and then you send it to your friends. We always do that, right?
And then eventually one day you will actually go out and do it.
Eventually. We did.
We did.
Yeah. Took a minute, but
Yeah. But
yeah.
When there's a will, there's a way.
What? Damn right. Okay, so before we close the episode, Jazzy and I love listening to music.
We're fans.
We're big fans. So we've thought that we could give you guys some music recs and that you guys could leave your music recs of the week in the comments.
Ooh, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, Jazz, do you have one?
Right now,
Okay.
I really like Addicted by Georgia Smith. And I'm trying to think.
We listen to it.
Can I scroll?
Yeah, you can scroll. While she scrolls, I will mention Jazzy and I saw Phineas last week, and it was the most amazing concert. So I've literally been listening to his music nonstop. So my recs are For Crying Out Loud, Sweet Cherries, and Cleats by Phineas.
Oh, she had it like ready.
Yes, because
I know. Loyal by Hillary.
Oh, I showed you that.
Yes.
Oh,
dude.
So honored.
On
It's
repeat.
good, right?
It's on
Thank
repeat.
you.
Oh,
Thank you. Jazzy and I bonded freshman year or sophomore year because we would like exchange Spotifys.
Yeah, we would literally be at lunch in the dining halls, just
Yeah.
like
Just
swap
exchanging
them.
music.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that one too.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, that concludes our episode. Thanks for coming,
Thanks
Jazz.
for having me.
I
This
hope
was
you had
fun.
fun.
It was
Okay,
so
I'm
fun.
glad. And remember, anytime you're going through a what now moment, just embrace the uncertainty and we'll find out what happens next.
Thanks.
Thanks.